pulled a Thomas Early Greek. If you know, you know. Big ups to the man. Welcome to the third volume of The Grab Bag. I have the grab bag right here, and I'm going to be discussing 7 fragrances in my collection that are worthy of discussion, some that are quite obscure, for which there is very little info on the World Wide Web. A few more that have some more familiarity to those fume heads. Some that are highly coveted, and still others that are not. But we're going to discuss 7 of them here. So the first one, rolling up my sleeves for this one. The first one here is this. This is Marcel pour Homme, Paris, the Eau de Toilette. Now, this one is an example of the ultra obscure. So, Marcel pour Homme was released in 1980. This wonderful obscurity has so little information on it that I pretty much, for writing my review, I relied on my own nose for the potential note breakdown. There's no Fragrantica profile. There's very limited base notes profile, I think. I don't think this is on Profumo, or maybe that has changed since I last checked. Here is the bottle. Check that out. Let me just make sure that you can see this bottle. It's very asymmetrical, very cool. So this is a high quality, masculine, woody, aromatic. It seems sort of the midway point between the nuanced masterpiece from 1970, Guy Robert's Hermès Equipage, and the equally splendid Le Troisième Homme de Caron, which was released in 1985, The Third Man. There's a carnation note that I detect here. It's warm, it's inviting, with what seems to be coriander, maybe nutmeg. I also detect a pronounced geranium note amongst the various florals. Perhaps some jasmine and lily of the valley is here as well. And I'm almost reminded a bit of Lauder for Men at this point of the development, sort of in the heart. So it's a scent with dimensions, surprisingly. I don't know. Marcel was apparently a designer during this time period. There's very little information about Marcel as well. Fascinating. The base of the fragrance kind of descends into this nice oak moss, sandalwood, musk sort of trichord. It's quite lovely, really, and I just dig the bottle. It's a little 80s Art Deco, maybe sort of presaging the Memphis school of design. Just a little geometric motif. It's neat. Next in tow is Yop Berlin. Yop Berlin, this was released in 1990. And unlike a few others from the time period, such as the original Yop Femme, Yop Le Bain, Yop pour Homme, of course, this one was discontinued after some time on the market. Check out this cool bottle. I love that translucent yellow right here. Gonna make sure that you can see. Take a quick look at that. Very cool. So this has been discontinued for some time, and it does go for a pretty penny now. Unfortunately, I found this one for relatively affordable. Here we go, Cap. So this would be appealing to those who like sort of a semi-gourmand. It's like a floral, vanillic, heliotrope. There's a little bit of peachiness and plum. We have some green chypre elements to it as well. According to the notes breakdown, there's Caro Corund. Caro Corund is this exotic flower that is native to Africa, that has this distinct smell that's vaguely like jasmine, but also vaguely vanillic as well. I actually have a small quantity of the Absolute, and it is some fascinating stuff that comes from this flower. And you have a floral heart, you have tuberose, ylang ylang, some carnation. We love our carnation, at least some of us. And some lily of the valley. And it is just a very plush, what I would call sort of like a gourmand chypre amber hybrid, maybe. It's very quite unique. It's just very atmospheric, very fluffy, very much like floating on a cloud. A good bedtime scent. Beautiful. It's beautiful stuff. It deserves a proper review, which I will write in the near future. So that's Yop Berlin, released in 1990, long discontinued. Be patient, because you may find, you could get a 30 ml bottle. I wouldn't spend more than $80, and that's if you're a big spender. Don't spend the crazy 200, 250 bucks on it. I don't encourage that, but it is quite lovely. All right. Got a baby one. This is a baby, a little baby. That's right, it's a baby. Because I don't need to have big bottles. I don't need any more bottles, actually. So if I find something like this, which actually, according to this, it says it's a 30 mil, which surprises me. Or actually, it says 20 mil. I stand corrected. And 20 mil seems more like it. Balafre, which was released in 1967. Let's make sure that you get a close look at that. Balafre from Lancôme. This is an eau de toilette concentration. So Balafre was composed by Gérard Goupy, who was the house perfumer for Lancôme. And during the 60s and 70s, he composed Climat, the legendary Climat, highly coveted, especially in its parfum form. There are many knockoffs of it. He also did Magie Noire, and he did Cacharel Polon for Cacharel. But this one is what I would best describe is a further refinement of the Italian style, herbal, coniferous, splash and go sort of fragrances, or colognes, if you will. Things like Pinot Silvestre, Silvestre. I taught Pretty Cat. So Pinot Silvestre and Acqua di Selva or Aqua Brava, but this is a French. This is quintessentially French. So we have some things like chamomile and these green notes and these aromatic notes and lavender. It's very pine needly in its heart. Clary sage. We have that wonderful synergy between carnation and geranium that I just can't get enough of. And very mossy, very grassy, woody in the dry down. And it is another one that does have sort of a mythical status, quite highly coveted. Larger bottles go for an exorbitant price. So what I recommend to you is to just, if you do want a quantity, any quantity of this that extends from, beyond a decant, if you want a bottle of this, just go for a smaller bottle and wait until it comes for a good price. As you folks know, I am not the type of person who will ever insist that you must have that you must have. Did you hear that? It must be, I don't know if you did hear that, but I did get a text and it went through my laptop. And we're not editing that out because this is all in real time. But I do not insist on people claiming that anything's a must-have. You look at your budget, you look at what you already have, you decide for yourself if it sounds like something that would knock your socks off, that would rock your world, and you go from there. Balafre, I'm not going to say that it's essential, but it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. And I, would only say that because I was able to get a 20 mil for, I don't know, $30. And that's pretty much what I would recommend to you is if you find much like what I did. 20 mil, $30, or a decant. But it's some good stuff though. And Jjcolbourne'S, hey, what he did with Magie Noire, it's a lovely one. Balafre. Balafre said Balafre Brun, and there's also, I think, one in a green bottle. I don't know anything about those offshoots or flankers. Hey, there were even flankers in the 60s and 70s. So this is a fun one here. This is Epris or Epley from Max Factor. Anybody a fan of Charlie's Angels? Anybody out there old enough to remember Charlie's Angels? Well, take a look at this. This is, if we can get the glare off of here, a most provocative fragrance. And that, my friends, is a signature from Jacqueline Smith. She didn't sign this bottle. It's printed on here, but yes, Jacqueline Smith. She was the spokeswoman for this fragrance that was released in 1981. This is a floral woody chypre, and this was something that was sold at an accessible price at the time. This was not something that was very high end. This is for the every woman. This was something that was accessible and available for the working class and middle class. But something of this quality is impressive for the time, because I will tell you, the woody, earthy, floral mossiness of this, it suggests it being a direct descendant of the classic chypres like Chypre Coty and Mitsuko and the like. It is a very well done chypre. And it is one that, unlike some of the others, a couple of the others that I'm sharing on this video, you could still get this for a song. You could get this for $20, I think. $25 maybe, $30, a vintage. Who would have thought that you'd get a really good vintage for $25-$30? Maybe it's because it hasn't been heavily hyped. Maybe I'm changing that right now. Maybe I'm changing the market by even suggesting that this is worth anyone's attention. Who knows? It is what it is, but check it out. It's really good. Another one that deserves a proper review. Epris. Ooh. A little bit of reflection there. Check that out. And as we know, in the fragrance community, YouTubers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, we all have an opinion. That's right, an opinion. Are they good opinions? Are they bad opinions? Do they leave us feeling indifferent, or do they leave us feeling enraged, overjoyed? I love that this is called Opinion. This is an Italian release from Hanorah. We'll take this out of its box. It's a bit stubborn. It doesn't want to leave. I can relate to that. Not wanting to leave the safety of my domicile. Here is Eau de Toilette. I'm reading it right out. Eau de Toilette Atomizer. This is Opinion with a J, because that, of course, makes sense. J means opinion. I don't know. I think it's just a very cool bottle. And truth be told, I picked it up because of the bottle. But being that it's a blind buy, it could have gone in a very bad direction. However, I'm visually oriented just as I am olfactorily. It was just irresistible. I just continued to encounter it on my quest for lesser known releases from the past. I did this whole stretch where I was drawn to these fragrances that had very little information, very little written about them. And I just took the plunge and I blind bought it. And I was certainly, more than pleased with the result. As this carries so many elements that draw me in. So it opens with an aldehydic citrus, a honey, spices. But what's outstanding is this animalic leather and musk that's overarching the composition from the start. It's a captivating hook and persists as the aldehydes fade out. And there's sort of musty, dusty tobacco. And I know for some people that doesn't sound attractive. Some of you out there live for that, as do I. The dry woods kind of enter the picture in the base, and this animalic undercurrent is enduring and it's sensuous. And this is great stuff. If I would compare it with something else, I would say it's sort of in between the aromatic spiciness of Equipage, maybe, and the animalic honeyed original Boss Number 1. Equipage again, who knew? Who knew that it was so influential for fragrances that would come out a good 10 or more years after it? So it just reaches this sort of level of sensuality that isn't even quite evident in those two, though. It's there is a carnal element to it in the dry down that I really appreciate. It's virile, but there's a bit of sweetness as well. So thumbs up to this one. Pretty hard to get, but it's not outrageously expensive if you were to get it. That's Opinion by Hanorah. Oh, I love that sound. Listen. Clicks right in. Next, Moondrops concentrated cologne, natural atomizer, not pressurized, and this is from Revlon. This was originally released in the early 70s. This is a bottle that I think might be from at least the 80s, maybe early 90s. I don't know exactly. It does have a UPC symbol, otherwise known as a barcode, but this is gorgeous. I wore a little bit of this the other day. Here's the bottle. A little no frills, but I kind of love it because of that. Very sensible. This is a Revlon. This was supposed to be like Epris by Max Factor, available to the every woman. And now today it's not so available to the every man or every woman because it's been discontinued for a long time. But I did do a little splurge on this one because I heard so many great things about it, and it is a lovely floral, woody, musky, aldehydic fragrance. You have the usual players. You have some carnation and sandalwood, and there's a Milan ylang. This would seem to be a descendant of the Chanel No. 5 school of aldehydes. Actually, this is pretty kindred with things like Estee from Estee Lauder, but there's something so beautiful and floral and rosy and effervescent about it that makes it stand out. Mind you, these were budget fragrances. I'm so fascinated with this topic of the drugstore fragrance, and this is, a quintessential drugstore fragrance of its time. Revlon was not a high-end brand, never had been. I mean, you think about other Revlons, you think about Ciara and Jean. Also, for the men, you had That Man. What else? Help me out here, as if you can respond. In the comments, you can respond. But yeah, Moondrops, it's so good. So good. I'm glad that I invested a little money in it. Just don't overspend on it, and be careful. Be careful, because I could see something like Moondrops having the potential to really turn and go sour because of all the aldehydes, and it's just so top heavy. But this smells stellar. So that's Moondrops Concentrated Cologne from Revlon. Oh, I also want to point out, hold up a second. I just want to point out this lovely cameo, this right there on the box. Isn't that something? Can you see that? I don't know. I just love little touches like that. And last but certainly not least, this is Expression. Let's see if I can... There we go. Expression from Jacques Fath. Jacques Fath Paris. Expression. Expression was from 1977, launched in 1977. This is a Raymond Cheillon. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of the great perfumer Raymond Cheillon, he is the genius behind Homme from Balenciaga, Années Sané for Cacharel, Monsieur Cavin, Givenchy Toi, Monsieur Couturier, another obscurity that I've done a review for, Cardin Paradox, Molyneux Quartz, and he was one of the collaborators for Yves Saint Laurent Pogrom and also Yves Saint Laurent Opium. So quite a portfolio and quite a talent. This is transcendental. Oh no, I'm going to try not to overhype this one. It's already so expensive. I was just so fortunate to find this lovely splash bottle in this iconic pebble-shaped bottle for, I think I spent $45 on it. I think I'm just one lucky hell of a guy. But this just is it's a culmination of all that is beautiful about the chypres that were coming out at this time. These green notes with the bergamot just sparkling for such a, what I presume to be an old bottle. Honeyed, rosy, spicy, coriander. There's some iris, like a lot of iris. But there's also this beeswax in the base. There's a waxiness, a leatheriness, ambergris. So there's this little bit of funk, this little bit of sort of, sensuous funk to it. Woody, just everything that appeals to me all rolled up in one. So this is one that I need to sit down, do a proper evaluation of it, and write a review of my thoughts on it as I spend more time with it. But God, so good. It's an Expression from Jacques Fath, 1977, Raymond Cheillon. And that is going to be it for this series of grab bag goodies. If you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to subscribe, like, hit the bell button to receive further notifications, and just leave a comment with me. I want to hear your thoughts. Are you familiar with any of these? If so, what do you feel about them? Are any of them a favorite of yours? I'd love to hear from you folks. I always do. So until next time, be well, be good to each other, stay safe. Take care.